Okay, so to go ahead and start with the demo, I'm within the VMware Tanzu Hub, which will be covered later on today. I'm going to be focusing specifically, as Dado was mentioning, on the VMware Tanzu Transformer uh, product. So within Tanzu
Matt,
Transformer,
right before you get started, can you please turn on your camera?
Oh, is it working now?
Looks like it's working now. Thank you. Go ahead, and then
Great.
you can just start from there. That's fine.
Yep. Okay, so again, going to start off with VMware Tanzu Transformer. Quickly, just to kind of show, we offer a couple different ways to collect data from the customer's environment. One, we can actually deploy a virtual appliance within the environment to collect live inventory from the vCenter. Also flows to ingest to be able to do application dependency mapping and discovery of boundaries and so on within the product, and also to be able to do assessment on and provide data on traffic in regards to egress traffic costs and so on as part of the assessment service that we offer within the actual product. So you can quickly come in and you can come under cloud proxies if you want to deploy the virtual appliance. You'll see a very list here I've got of other appliances that you can deploy. So you can quickly just click deploy new, download the OVA. Once you get that deployed within your infrastructure, you can pair it with this key. It'll form a secure connection. And then we can come up and go back into Transformer and we can onboard an account. So this is where we can add our vCenter. So we can come in and choose and give our vCenter a name, provide an IP or an FQDN, the credentials, and so on. We can enable IPFix within the vCenter so that we can start collecting those flows. And then we can associate that vCenter to a specific cloud proxy. Now, I currently have a vCenter obviously added. And then I also, you see here, I've got vCenter file. So if you want to collect inventory from your vCenter and don't want to utilize the virtual appliance, you can also come in and you can do an import on inventory. And what that does is it allows us to import inventory, and it also gives you an option to utilize a static export of vCenter minus the flow data for RV tools. If you utilize your RV tools, you can generate that file, and then you can browse and upload that file within Tanzu Transformer and then have that inventory displayed. So you have a choice of either doing live data collection or a static data collection. When we go back to the Tanzu Transformer interface, the first thing I want to do is go ahead and take a look at assessments. So this is where I can start off the first, I guess you could say, step in my cloud journey for migration. I can come in and click on Start New Assessment, and this is going to utilize my on-premises vCenter that I've added. And then I have a choice of a target cloud. So here you can see I can choose either AWS or VMC on AWS. Within this demo, I'm going to focus on just native AWS. I can provide that with an assessment name. I'm just going to go ahead and reuse one of the previous ones. And then I can also choose the assessment by. So this is allowing me to choose on how I want to start assessing my environment for migration to AWS. So I can choose either potential application, business application, VLAN, or cluster. Now I'm going to go ahead and just start with potential application because that's going to utilize the machine learning AI algorithms to be able to study the flows, to be able to determine what makes up the application and its dependencies. So here we can see an overview of the applications, and they're grouped basically from a storage utilization perspective. So you do have the capability of filtering down by memory utilization. You can also do CPU utilization, but by default, it will start from a storage utilization perspective. If you don't want to utilize the graphical view, you can also utilize a tabular view within the product, and you can choose again between the storage tiers that you want. You can see what is in scope, how many applications, you can see your applications, and you can work through the actual tabular view of the list, or you can go back and just utilize the graph. Now, each one of these is representing an actual application that has been discovered within my environment. So as you can see here, I've got various different applications that have been discovered within the environment that I could focus on. So I can come through and choose any one of these applications and do analysis on the application. And these applications are discovered utilizing things like the flows and also the inventory that we're collecting from the vCenter that I've added as a data source. And each one of these, you can see the total virtual machines, the in-scope VMs, and so on. So if I click on one of these, it's actually going to also, you're going to see these lines appear here. And these are actually showing me that I've got dependencies upon other applications or members of the applications, along with shared services and so on, that are grouped within, specifically with this application, the Hive storage tier. So over here on the right, you can see the application that I've chosen. You can also click on View VMs, and this will actually show me the virtual machines it's actually including inside that actual application. And I can click on each one and get detailed information on that specific virtual machine within that application, including CPU configuration, memory configuration, and so on, operating system. So you can get all of those details. So let me go ahead and move back to our application here. So within our application, again, we can come in and choose an application to focus on. So within this one, we'll click on an application. And again, we can also take a look at the dependent potential applications. So over here, based off of the flow analysis and the data analysis that we're doing and the algorithms that we're running, we can also take a look and see what is my dependent potential applications or members. So in this case, I can see in this, I have two potential applications with dependencies. I have an application with all of my DNS servers in it. And I also have an application labeled fd-web-mcm. I can click on each one of these and choose if I want to exclude those applications from the scope. Or I can say, you know what, these dependencies are important. I want to include these in the scope as I'm doing an assessment. You can also see the number of dependent potential applications each one of the dependent applications for this specific application I'm focusing on has associated with it also. So let me go ahead and close this. Now, the application I've chosen, you can focus on and see that I've got total vCPU, memory, and storage for that application, how many VMs are in scope. And then I can also come in and say, choose whether I want to include this in the scope of my assessment, which you can see down here. We're already starting to see potential numbers for migrating to AWS. But let's say I don't want to include this application. So I'm going to go ahead and click push out of scope. And now I'm taking that application out of my scope for assessment to move to AWS. So now it has been moved out of scope. We can see that has been moved along with the dependent potential applications. And then I can also choose if I want to bring it back into scope. And you can see it has already impacted our overview of our TCO for moving to AWS. So we'll have to recalculate that because I moved this application specifically out of scope.
So Matt, quick question on the flow data. Where are we getting that from in vCenter? Is there a requirement to have a specific network capability to design within my vCenter, or is this just available no matter what type of networking I'm using in my vSphere environment?
So within the vSphere environment, it does require that you are utilizing virtual distributed switches, because virtual distributed switches are what provide us with the capability of ingesting IPFix from ESXi hosts that are hosting those applications. Standard VSS doesn't support IPFix, so we wouldn't be able to get the flow data there. We would just be doing live data collection from the vCenter from an inventory perspective and so on. So we would not have the flows if you were just running standard VSS. So VDS is a requirement to be able to do the flow ingestion for the IPFix data from each EXI host to the actual cloud proxy.
As a follow-up.
And then, just so I understand, I'm dropping potentially a VM into my environment to do kind of the proxy of this, and then the analysis is actually happening on cloud.
So yes, so the platform that we're looking at here is a SaaS service. So Tanzu Transformer is a SaaS service. So I'm logged into CSP up here. the cloud services portal, and I'm within Transformer. The appliance itself gets deployed within the actual customer's environment on-prem, and then has a secure connection to the actual platform. Now, all of the flow data and the data that is collected goes to that appliance that's deployed within the customer's environment and is then deduplicated, aggregated, and the metadata is sent over an encrypted connection to the actual platform GUI that you're seeing here that's running in the SaaS environment. So the critical data stays within the collector of within the customer's environment. The metadata is what we're actually sending up to the actual platform.
Thank you.
Yep. So it actually does all the data reduction too. So you're not sending all the flows and all that information directly to the cloud. That's staying within that appliance. We're just doing the dedupe and aggregation at the appliance level, and then sending that over that connection to the platform.
So, Matt, I'm curious how well Tanzu Transformer will guide me through the selection process of what's in scope and out of scope. Say, I've identified an app, I definitely want it to be in scope. There's another app that shares a dependency, like they both use the same database or database server, and I've marked that as out of scope. Well, Transformer will alert me, hey, you're going to move one app and all this dependencies and leave something behind that relies on some of these components. Not a good idea.
So today what it will do is it'll allow you to exclude that specific application out of scope. So you can see the green light here just showed up, and it's going to show me what is out of scope. And then basically we just get the alert down here, when a potential application is included in scope. Dependent potential applications will not be included automatically. So this is what it's essentially giving you initially within the product today.
Okay. Plans to maybe have a more descriptive view of, hey, this is dependent, but it's not in scope. You should remediate that, and anything like that on the roadmap.
Yeah, and I can let Dada comment more on that.
I'll take that. So those lines are visual indicators that these are dependent. I think those are richer topology. I don't know if you can change to another setting, Matt, instead of the storage, instead of view applications by VLAN or something like that. So it is already covered. So if you are by cluster, but if you don't choose these applications, then you're probably leaving behind, right? And there's also ingress and egress cost calculations between these applications as well, if there are lines. So it is in the product. I mean, I don't know if you'll have all the time today to go through the entire product demo, but yes, it's included in the product. If you don't do this, this is the dependent application you're going to leave behind, for example.
Okay.
Yeah, but yes, we have accounted for that.
Yeah, and you can see here, sorry, Sash, that I've changed it by cluster. I can do it by VLAN. So this will impact the view again, just like by choosing between CPU, storage, memory. So now I can do it actually by a VLAN. So I specifically have a VLAN a cluster that I've chosen. I can see the in-scope virtual machines. And then I can also see the total vCPU for all of the potential applications and so on within that specific cluster, along with the dependencies that cluster has. So you can do it by cluster, by VLAN, by application. So you can get pretty granular. You can also get into tagging. So you can search by specific tags. You can filter by memory. You can filter also by specific clusters that you only want to focus on. And you can also filter by folders within vCenter that you want to focus on as part of your assessment to move to the target cloud. And down here at the bottom, we're going to see our assessment summary. So right now it is showing me that I'm looking at moving 34 applications, over 2,000 virtual machines, and then it's giving me an idea from vCPU, memory, and storage utilization. Now, if I click recalculate TCO, what this is now going to do is based on the criteria that is shown here within the applications and so on that I've chosen, it's going to now give me a quick view of the TCO to move to AWS. So this is going to show me how many matching EC2 instances. It's also showing me the configuration sizes. It's also showing me a projected traffic from and to AWS. So I can see what my egress traffic would be and what my ingress traffic would be. So this is because we have full flow visibility within those applications. We can do projections there. And then we're giving a total cost of ownership for AWS on a monthly cost. Again, this is list price, what we're showing right here.
But as you can quickly tell, right? We group them, we give the dependencies, make your assessments, and now you can make it. You're better equipped to make the right decisions on migration. So somebody had a comment. Sorry.
What does this calculation include? Kind of the evaluation of what services are available and best suited for specific applications in AWS or Azure, for instance?
Yeah, so there is a variant of this. Again, I don't know if we'll have time. We also have a way to recommend, for example, a certain PaaS service. For example, if it's a database on premises, you may not want to do the lift and shift of the database. You may say, well, let me do a S3 or let me do RDS, and what the cost of that would look like, right? I mean, the lift and shift always doesn't work well in native cloud. So we do recommend what that recommended PaaS service should look like and what the cost would look like.
Okay, so we are do a comparison if there are multiple service alternatives.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there's more work happening to do in-guest analysis itself, but again, we can talk offline on that.
So I have one last question to throw in there. On your application discovery and integration pieces, does it allow you to work across different vCenters for application dependencies? Because some people may have applications that live in one vCenter and another part of another application that lives in the other vCenter is 100% dependent on it.
Yes, that's definitely on the roadmap. I think, Matt, we can add multiple vCenters today, can't we? I don't.
Yeah,
yes, we can.
We can do multiple vCenters. Yep.
And also remember, when we did all this polling with customers, not everybody has a well-defined application. They may just be migrating based on VLANs. So across multiple vCenters, if they're all on the same VLANs, they might pick the first 100 because the first 100 are critical VLANs. You might move them, but you still need to know the traffic analysis of those VLANs as well. So that's why we picked various filters, if you will, on making the right decision to migrate itself.
Okay.